This is episode 573, and today we're going to be talking about 3 tips to manage stress. Now, stress is an interesting concept because actually stress is all internal, and you can't point to stress externally. You can't put stress in a wheelbarrow or a bucket or something like that. So often stress, we point to the external world, but in reality, stress is all internal. And oftentimes stress will manifest, when we carry over yesterday's concerns, into our present day concerns, and they compound on each other. And we start thinking, right, so these concerns, right, a concern is a thought. So again, we want to keep in mind that stress is internal, and anything internal we can control, whether it's happiness, stress, anger, all of those emotions, all that is internal. So we're able to control that. An accumulation of carrying over yesterday's concerns to today, and then tomorrow we do the same thing, an accumulation will always end up with a high level of stress if we don't know how to manage it correctly. So therefore, you must be able to dump, kind of like do a hard reset, all of your concerns from the previous day or days, and concentrate only on what is happening now today. So here are 3 stress busting tips. Now, these are 3 that are very broad in scope. And if you just do any one of them and do any one of them consistently, you will find a huge difference in the level of stress that you may be having or not having. So the first one, just kind of went over it, is release every thought from yesterday and only be mindful of now. So I can hear folks saying, "Well, I had a challenge yesterday. I had a report due. I didn't get it done. I was sick, or I got in an accident, or a bill was overdue." And those things need to be addressed. And when you address them, you take the action, and that is it. But if you have these thoughts of what's going to happen if this, and I got to end a fight with my significant other or coworker or boss or any of these other things, and you keep bringing that into the present day, you are going to be building more stress because something like that is going to happen today, and then you're going to accumulate it. So for those things that need your attention, you would make a list, whether you want to call it an efficiency list, a to-do list, whatever that is, that happened that day. And it's preferably, at the end of the day, if you have some events that need your attention, whether it's paying a bill, going to the doctors, whatever, you just make the list. And then once the list is done, you put it out of your mind. The challenge is that we don't take time to write down the things that we need to do. And so we keep them in our mind. And that is just another buildup of thoughts. So as we keep our list we have a mental list, and then we have the concerns for today and the other things happening, they start to build and cascade on each other. So if there are actions from yesterday that you need to take place today, you write them down so there's no more thoughts in your head. If you had an argument or a disagreement or something happened yesterday, you release it. You release it through several ways. There's many programs, there's many rituals to help you release those things. And especially a coach comes in very, very handy at this particular point. But if you have an issue from yesterday, you can write it down on a piece of paper and then burn it. You can burn it inside your place or at a barbecue pit, whatever. But when you write that down with that issue, that fight that you had, or that disagreement, or the whatever the challenge that you experienced, and you write it down on a piece of paper and burn it, you're symbolically saying to yourself, "This is it. It's done. Forget it. I'm going to focus only on now." Because what happens, in addition to building on top of your thoughts, if you still hold a thought from yesterday to today, you are not in the now, and you will miss a lot of the beauty and the gratitude and the peacefulness that the now has to offer. Because right now is really the only time you have. But mentally, Physically, we are here now. Mentally, we can take trips to the past, to the present, to the future. But usually what happens is we will take a past event, a emotional charged event, think about it today, and then wonder what's going to happen with it tomorrow. So we're creating our future based on our yesterday because we're thinking of it now. So when we can start to release the thoughts, whether through a ritual of some sort and or those actions that we need to take place by making a to-do list or an action list, we're able to open up the space for the now, for today, so that we can then appreciate all the things that are happening right now, which then will help us relieve stress. The other thing is practice acts of quiet and calm each day. We are on such a electronic tether to everything, whether it's our phones, our computers, wherever we go, we are constantly being bombarded for our attention. And when we can take that time to sit quietly, even when we go home, many people, the first thing they do is turn on TV as they're making dinner or doing whatever. So sometime during the day, take these random acts of quiet and calm. That could be at your lunch break. Take your lunch outside, sit by yourself, have your lunch, and then go for a walk. It could be have your lunch, go to your car, sit and meditate. It could be waking up every morning. This is what I love to do, is wake up every morning and meditate and just start being calm and centered and set your intention for the day. Often it could be when you get home. If you've had a challenging day at work, stop off someplace at a park, walk around. When you get home, then you could walk around your block. But practice, or even if you have a special room in your house, when you come home, go and sit and meditate. This doesn't have to be, 5 hours at a time. Just simple 10 minutes every once in a while in the morning at lunch before you go home. If you are commuting, if you are working from home, then once you finish work, go outside because you've been inside all day. So go outside, go someplace new, and just sit and look at the sky, look at nature. Just sit for a few minutes and center yourself in this calm place that is inside you all the time. But this requires practice. It's a practice, not a perfect. So you'd want to do this regularly. I suggest 3 10-minute sessions in the morning when you wake up, or if you before you leave. At lunch is a perfect time. You can take that little extra break. And then after work, before you get home, or if you work from home, after work, go outside and just find this quiet space that you can sit in and just let things go. Let those thoughts go like red balloons or helium balloons or blue balloons or whatever balloons that you want. But think about it as releasing those and the thoughts go and setting yourself in this peace and quiet. Third one is eat, drink, rest, and breathe. So when we say eat and drink, it doesn't mean fast food and alcohol. This means take care of yourself. Eat healthy foods, eat nutritious food, eat single ingredient foods. Single ingredient food is like avocado, there's one ingredient. Beef, there's one ingredient. Um, Celery, there's one ingredient. When you go to packages, you find multiple ingredients. That's not the best thing for you. Drink plenty of water, maybe a little electrolytes, but get plenty of water. So eating and drinking, because when we're under stress, our body releases cortisol and it just messes up our whole metabolism and mucks things up. But if we can eat properly, we give our body the nutrition and hydration to manage the stress and release those toxic hormones. Although cortisol isn't all that bad, it does provide some very good benefits for us. But if we are underneath constant stress, we're going to be fatigued, right? Because it's the sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight, and we're always amped up. We're going to be releasing some toxins in our body after a while. And by eating and drinking and resting and breathing, these can flush those out. Rest. A lot of, I don't need that much rest. I only need 4 hours of rest. Everybody is different, yes, but there is a certain point where if you don't get enough rest, it the feeling of fatigue is almost as if your reflexes are diminished, as if you are drinking a couple of glasses of wine or a couple of cocktails, if you will. And there was a study done on people who were sleep deprived and the functionality of those same people when they had some drinks, and it was very similar. So it's consider that the less sleep you get, the more you're jeopardizing your thinking, your rationality, and also your reflexes. And breathing. There are so many great breathing exercises. There's Qigong, there's Nigong, there's Tai Chi. There's all these wonderful exercises to help you breathe from your diaphragm. We often breathe so much from our lungs and from our upper lungs that we don't actually circulate, get all the oxygen in our body that we need, because we need to get oxygen in order to get that in, we need to get the carbon dioxide out of our lungs. And so that when we can take these deep breaths, even during one of those quiet times during the day, if you inhale for 7 and exhale for 11. You've heard me go over this before, but taking deep breaths can actually really calm us. They can engage the parasympathetic nervous system so that we can rest and digest. So eating really, really healthy, and schedule those meals, if you will. Drink constantly, measure, have a goal of drinking maybe in the beginning 32, 64, a gallon of water every day. Rest, look at 6 to 8 hours of rest, and breathe. Take some deep, deep breaths. One of the things I like about my Fitbit is it has a process there, an exercise where you can breathe, and it measures your breathing in accordance with your heartbeat. And so when you can get those two sync to get together, it's a very powerful and stress relieving process. And I'm sure there's other like Apple and Whoop and others out there that do it. I'm just familiar with Fitbit, but that's, you can sit back once a day, go to that menu, do your breathing. It only takes about 5 minutes, but you get your breathing in sync with your heart rate and you feel much more relaxed. So keep in mind, when we are when we are content and living, balanced life, everyday stress seems to pale in comparison, right? When we're in a good place, we're able to handle these things. But it's that cumulative effect that the more and more, that expression, well, that's the straw that broke the camel's back, is the same, is about stress. If we don't release stress, one day we're going to get something that's so insignificant and it's just going to take us out of the game. But when we can start to live content and living balanced and harmonious lives, when those stress situations come up, we'll be able to neutralize them and handle them. And so we will be better equipped to deal with unexpected. So when the unexpected comes up, we're in a very calm place. We'll be able to address it. We know that we'll be okay. And you can take control today, right? Isolate only one particular stressor in your life and then work on it until you regain control of it. That could be your significant other, and that means that you don't have these loud volume conversations, but you put it in perspective. You start to go, you know what, I'm just going to breathe. I'm just going to go for a walk. I'm just going to, as opposed to getting into the conflict with it. And you'll be surprised that how you do anything is a reflection of how you do everything once you get one area under your life under control as far as stress is concerned. You can duplicate that system for the other areas of your life. So at the very least, you have some new hope now. You have some processes to work through. And again, using a coach for this can be very, 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 very helpful, whether it's me or someone else. If you'd like to see the show notes on this podcast, you can go over to warriormindcoach.com. You'll see the show notes there. You'll also see other blog posts and other podcasts, and you can request a introductory consultation over there as well. And since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest under Warrior Mind Coach.